G'day and welcome to Crosby Garrett. My name's Craig and this is my ngauge layout set at the real life station on the Settle&Carlise line just prior to its closure in 1952. So, it's been a month or so since I did a video and a lot has actually happened on the board, but also a lot of learning's been happening behind the scenes. I did go ahead and get a laser cutter. I'll show you that in a minute. And I've just been really playing around with it, getting to understand how I can build the buildings, create the buildings. It's been a lot of fun. Instead of just finishing one project, I've been going from one project to the next project to the next project, as I'm just trying to develop my skill set on Inkscape and also understanding the capabilities of the machine and what I can create. I've really enjoyed it. That's probably why I've just kept jumping. What I'm gonna show you though is I've got pretty much a finished station building, but it's only a mock-up, and I've got one side of the viaduct done. And again, it's just a mock-up. But let's jump onto the boards to begin with, and I'll show you what's been completed, what's half been completed, and then I'll run you through a bit more of the laser cutting and the progress that I've made and lessons learned. So yeah, let's go for it. So we're going to start at the viaduct end. As you can see, the viaduct, one side of the viaduct in place, but as mentioned, I'm going to talk a bit more about that on its own in a few minutes. The latest update really to the layout is I went back to the UK and picked up the Britannia that I had converted to DCC. It runs great. I'm really happy with the work that was done to it, and yeah, I'll at some point I'll do a video of it running. In actual fact, the Britannia only ran on the Settle&Carlise after it was constructed, so it didn't even have its markings or anything when it ran. So I'm tempted to get another version of a non-working version and strip it back to just black paint. And just take the casing off this one and put the black casing on as a test runner on the layout to be a bit more realistic, because I believe the Britannia spent most of its time working between Norwich and London. So yeah, moving down, as mentioned at the beginning, I've done a bit of work, pretty much completed the station building in terms of the framework. But that is a mock-up. The card size is not as thick as I want, but I'll touch again that when I get to focusing more on the laser cutting side. I did get around to planting a few more trees, as you can see. These ones are still to be finished off. They're not glued in yet, so I need to do that. But these ones here, I've put some broken branches down there. That's all glued in. A bit more broken branches there. And again around the cover there, and these ones are still to be done. I've temporarily placed a fence where I'm thinking of putting a fence and a gate right there. So yeah, I'm really happy with how that's coming. It's probably going to need more trees, just as the back's going to need more trees. But yeah, so that's really been the main work on the layout, was the trees putting in, and I've really been focusing a lot of time on working out these laser cutter. This is the laser machine that I got. It's a Xtool S1. I only went for the 10 watt laser. You can get 20 watt and 40 watt, but the price is increased. I did do a lot of research on it to figure out what it was I was going to do. The board that I use, the laser board, comes in different thicknesses. This is the thickest one that I have, which is 0.87 millimeters or 0.0035 inches. Then this one in mils is 0.5 of a mil. Then we go down to 0.38 of a mil, and the thinnest is 0.25 of a millimeter. Again, total learning curve of those products to figure out the power, strength, speed of getting the laser cutter, which has been a great learning curve, as I said. And yeah, I'll talk a bit more about that now as we go back to the desk and I talk on the two buildings that I've done so far. So with the laser cutter, I first started off and designed a greenhouse, which is this tiny little thing. And I was really impressed with the level of detail, just how fine a detail you can actually get with cutting these strips on the glass. Now, this one, again, was just a quick mock-up that I've done, and I'm in the process of doing a full video of design and build of this tiny little greenhouse. That was the first build, and I'm really happy with that. I then progressed on to the station building, as I've showed in the previous video. I showed the plans that I've done, and the way I went about thinking about it was how I would do it if I was using polystyrene and not the Polytech laser board. There isn't actually that much difference. You're still thinking in layers and you're designing it, but the thing with the laser board, as you can see, is you can actually laser out all the stonework. So it saves on having to do 2 layers, glue it, all that kind of stuff. So I'm down to really 1 layer. Now this mock-up, as you can see, it's not quite square and everything. I kind of just slapped it together because I was just figuring out how it was going to work, bits and pieces, what's it look like, what's the capacity, what can I get the real fine detail. Like, I designed these windows, can I get those details? And if you look really closely up here in there, let's see if I can get it to focus. Gonna focus, and no, there you go. You can see the window detail, but then all in the corner you can get that detail as well. And those holes are less than 1 mil. They are absolutely tiny, and I've been blown away by the fact that I can get that level of detail. I've also done the stonework down at the bottom, the stonework across the top, and the stonework this little bit there. That's engraved and a little bit cut out and stuck on there. The surrounds of the windows are whole pieces that I've done, and on the back you can just see inside are the windows. So the windows are 3 layers to get the depth. Now this card was the 0.5 mil card, and it works. It's not too bad, but as I said, it's just a quick mock-up that I've done. And so I then moved on to another thickness, the one because it came in, and I was much happier with this thickness of card. It's stronger, and you can then engrave it slightly deeper on the stonework. That's just the engravement ready for the next piece to stick on. And this one's a bit darker because it's just different material, but that doesn't really matter so much because it's going to be painted. So yeah, just blown away by the capacity, and you don't need a really strong laser. Like I said, I only got the 10 watt. First, it was the cheapest of the models. I mean, if you go for the 40 watt, it's almost an extra $1,200 on top of what you're paying because you're going for so much power, and you don't need it. I mean, I'm only using the laser cutter for the model room. I'm not going to be planning on doing too much more with it. So the 10 watt is more than enough. It cuts through the card, and yeah, I'm really happy. I can't wait to actually make the station fully. I did do another mock-up, but I can't seem to see it. It was around, but yeah. So these are, again, you just got to think in layers. Here's a door, tiny little door. The lines are all etched. All those lines are etched, and then you have kind of like the door frame. So the door will glue onto the door frame. I can paint the door frame a certain color, and then I can paint other bits, and then that then gets stuck onto the inside of the walls. So it becomes 3 layers. So you really get building up the realism of depth in the models. Also, by doing this, I've identified bits and pieces that's like, okay, so if you go see the toilet and you look in there, this wall, I don't have stonework, and really in real life that's going to have stonework. Not that the actual viewing angle on the layout, you're not really going to be seeing there, but I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so I've designed this now so that's actually got stonework on it. And yeah, I just picked up little bits and pieces that weren't working and figured out those solutions, hence the reason for the mock-up. And then instead of actually completing that, I keep talking about actually completing a video of the greenhouse. I went on to do the viaduct, which again was a lot of fun. I'm not going to talk too much about the design because I am going to do a video on the design of the viaduct. I just wanted to go through my thought processes when doing this and things I learned. And again, through the construction phases, it's actually just evolved and things have changed. So this is what it looks like. This is 2 pieces of the 0.8687 thickness, and it actually gets really quite stiff. Once you glue it, you can it's really quite strong. And then right at the top, I've actually got 4 layers of the 0.87 mil. And as I don't know if you can see that, there's a bend to it, there's a fold. And what I've realized is you can, because you're laminating it like plywood, you can actually form it into shapes, glue it and form it. Now on my bridge, there is a slight curve, slightly more than that. So when I come to put this together, I'll clamp it onto that curve and let it dry before I put the top capping on. And that's going to give the realistic curve to the the viaduct. Another thing that I've done on the viaduct is the bricks. I mentioned in the last video last month about not being able to do the bricks on the bridge because it was made out of polystyrene and the detail was it's far too fine a detail. But with the laser, you can do it, and it's like that it's just amazing. With this mock-up though, the bricks are actually too small. When I compare it to the viaduct at Crosby Garrett, they're a lot smaller. They almost touch actually in the center here. So again, I've gone back and I've changed the drawings ready for the next print. And if you zoom in here, let's just see right here, you can just make out these stone. So these are bricks. This is a different pattern to the stonework. So on the actual viaduct, they've put bricks in there as a repair. So I've added those bits, and again, because it's engraved, whatever you put on there, it does. So again, just blown away. Now on this side, this is a certain engravement power. And then on this side, I did another. As you can see, it's a lot darker, which means it's a lot deeper. So you're really going to get those good mortar joints showing and some more realism. I mean, again, it's all going to be painted, so and the darkness is actually the burn, but what it is it's just it's deeper. I then figured out the strip here. I used 0.86 again on the strip, but I'm going to use probably 0.3 because I really like the thickness that it steps out, and that's more realistic from what I'm seeing on the video. And it's actually double layer. On here I've only got 1 row. There is another strip that's supposed to, here's the strip I did, that's supposed to go on the top, and it's a bit of a step, which is, so I need to recreate that, but the 0.86 is just too thick, but as a single layer it's fine. So I'm going to go for the 0.38 millimeter double up. I'm going to get that thickness. Now I've also engraved these, the bolts that hold the bridge together in pairs so it doesn't fall apart. Again, they stick out a little too much. So part of the design I've done is I've figured out where I want to put these, and I'm going to engrave it on here to cut down the actual thickness of the card. So when these are then done and stuck on, they have a spot and they're going to sit in. They're not going to be stood out as much. So that's really, I mean, again, the end pieces I haven't done on this, but I have done on the drawings, and it's just been trial and error. The bottom here, I had chopped off the front fascia. I'd actually chopped off the bottom, but I realized I actually need that in place because the bit that goes around here isn't flush with the bottom. It needs to stick out. So again, through the trial and error, I've adjusted that, and I've created this to go around and stick out here. this is a version of that I've again etched with the stonework, so you get a good feeling of how that's going to look. But as you can see, it's flush, and it's not flush in real life, so we've got to stick that off a little bit, probably just a card's width, to be honest, and it's going to give the actual dimension that we want, the realistic dimension. And then what I've done is the arch. So the arch, looking at the photos, the stones either side are pretty much the same stones that go around there. As you can see on the video, these ones are a lot smaller, and I did count. I counted these on the real bridge, and then I counted what I got, and I was way over, which makes sense because it should be sticking around there. So I've made that adjustment, and these then match exactly the number on this, matches the number on the arches as it would do in real life, and then so that's going to stick under there. In real life there is a brick texture running across here. I've tried doing that, but unfortunately it just really is slow. There's so much detail, it slows the computer up, and I can't get it to etch. But I mean, it is going to be underneath the viaduct, and not really many people are going to see it, so I'm going to paint it up and do what I can to it. But yeah. And then what I did on the back is, because this is actually quite thick, it's the 0.87 card, I've done etch lines, and I screwed up with the etch lines. It wasn't as wide, and again, because I was able to go back to the drawings and figure out what I did wrong. And what I did is I took the measurement from inside and here, because that was the bit that I was trying to do the brickwork on, and use that rather than the actual full size. So that problem solved. And by etching it makes it a lot easier to create the arch shape. So part of the construction is actually going to just be putting this together on the bench and figuring out. So that's really, unfortunately, the tracks and the bridge is all fixed in place. It's not like other people have done it, which is a separate model bit that just slots on and the track all lines up. I'm doing it the hard way. So hopefully, once I get the other side of this and I get this, I'll be able to just slot it onto on and underneath the track, and then glue the other side on and get the completed viaduct. Again, that's going to be another video, the full build of that and works, and talking about the plans and how I went around designing this will be in that video. But I just wanted to show you what you can actually do with a laser machine, and like I said, I'm blown away by the detail. And another thing, again, the top capping on the stonework isn't deep enough. It's not realistic, so I'm going to double layer that to get the depth of stone to be more realistic. And I wouldn't have known that had I not done this mock-up. And this is the nice thing with this laser, the laser cutter, is you don't feel like I'm wasting time working on all the detail cutting. I mean, cutting polystyrene with a knife is, don't get me wrong, I loved it. I've loved doing the good shed and the other buildings, which I'll finish off. But the laser just goes, okay, I'll just print it off. Now this one section here took an hour and a half to laser cut. So it does take a bit of time, but it's just worth it, because you can do it, and if it screws up or you want to make changes, you just go on, it's the cost of the board and the time, and off it goes, and just prints another one. It doesn't feel like you're wasting labor doing it, albeit you spend a lot of time on computer, but making changes on computer is far quicker than knife cutting and messing up. And I really enjoy that. I actually have really enjoyed spending hours and hours doing the design work and thinking, looking at the pictures and thinking, okay, what do I need to do? What else? Whatever changes. There's some other changes here. You can see the bits stick up. There's a couple of support, I think they're called buttresses, that need to come down here. So again, I've added them into the design. The engraver's not going to engrave where those buttresses are going to come, but then I'm going to have buttresses that stick on to it, that stick out. Of course, you've then got this brick that's got to go around the buttresses. Again, do the design work of that. And it's just a matter of time. So this has really given me a much better understanding. And when I come to do the bridge down at that end, it should be pretty quick to design that bridge how I want it, based upon the knowledge I've learned from that. So that's it really for the update this month. As I said, I am going to work. I've already done part of the video for the greenhouse. Trying to go and finish that off, but I did wanted to do a monthly update. Get that done. My plan of attack is once that's done, I'll then move on to the station building and get the station building progressed. There is so much of loose ends. I probably have ADHD because I just can't focus on one thing. I just want to keep moving on and doing and learning more stuff. But I know there's trees to glue down, there's a fence to build, there's a gate to build, just little details, and slowly but surely I think I'll do a video of right, what's next, and just go through. Anyway, I hope you find this interesting. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and hopefully the next video will be one of the greenhouse. Have a great day and happy modeling. Don't forget, feel free to make comments down below if you've got any suggestions or you like what you see. Take care. Bye. If you would like to continue to see the progress of the model, be sure to subscribe to my channel and like the video. I'll see you next time.